That big boss, that's special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another couch conversation with myself, Tom, and Keegan, my buddy, right here. We are the Level 2 Gamers, and we discuss things on a couch, hence the name.
We're real
today,
creative.
we're super creative. Today, we're going to be discussing something that is a little close to my heart. It's something I've been dealing with for a long time now, and that is video games getting blamed for tragedy. Which we think is an important topic to discuss, because recently it was a more, I don't want to say lighthearted, because it's never lighthearted when someone is, tragically injured in any way, but recently it came up again in the news with Pokemon Go, which, there was a girl that had essentially crossed a road, a very busy road, to get to an area where she wanted to catch some Pokemon. She had put her phone away, apparently, allegedly, and then tried to get back across the road and had got run over in the process. Pretty sure she survived, yay, but at the same time instantly blamed the game. And not because she was playing it at the time, but because if she had never played the game, she would never have been in that area across the road. Which kind of made me mad for a while, and I'm sorry that you got hit by a car.
I mean, my thing on it is, I think sometimes it goes to extreme. I do think a lot of times that video games can influence you, and in this case, physically influence you, because she's right. She wouldn't have been there if she wasn't playing the game.
But she also could have looked both ways
yes.
before crossing.
Yes. So essentially, what it is, in my opinion, like a game like GTA. Because it comes up as the big one. Because
GTA is always in this conversation.
Because of what it is. I mean, I've talked to, Wheezy, he has two younger kids, and we stream and play GTA together with his kids in the room, and he has to be careful what he's playing with his kid. And I think it's a conscious decision of what... There's ratings for a reason on a video game.
Which is what it boils down to.
Yeah. I mean, I played GTA before I was 18. I get it. But at the same time, I understood... Two things I understood. One, it's a video game. And two, it's... one of those things where it's not going to influence my decision, I guess. I don't know. Like, I can understand how... That's why VR scares me. I've said this before, but I think VR, to a certain extent, is going to scare me even more with
We talked about the mental health aspect of VR at length in one of our very, very early kinds of conversations when Jordan was with us. And, and I think that still stands. I do fully believe that is a possibility, that some people that don't have such a firm grip on reality to begin with may find a hard time with VR. But right. I also think that there is an onus, and you said it yourself, of the fact that people should respect the ratings the same way they respect ratings on everything else. And they don't. And that's the thing. The shops do. GameStop won't sell you GTA if you're under 18 because they'll lose their license if they do that. But does the mother give a shit that she's buying a game like that for her kid? I implore you, employees of GameStop and other likewise video game stores out there, tell us your stories in the comments below about times that parents came in and blatantly ignored your warnings about a video.
Or they had no idea. I mean, I think it's funny. So GTA is an example. I played San Andreas back in the day. Back in the day was only, 10 years ago? But back in the day to me. And my mom, she'd heard the name because of the news.
Right.
I think, was that Hot Coffee?
Hot Coffee
was that one.
Yeah, Hot Coffee was a big one there.
So I'd rented it from Blockbuster when that was a thing. We used to have to go buy or get video games from a physical store. I rented it from Blockbuster the first time I played, and I won't forget the first time I got it, the disc didn't work, so we had to go back and get it again. But I played that game, and she doesn't hang over my shoulder on playing video games. She never did. Like, where I used to play was in California. We had a loft that she would walk by every so often to her bedroom, but again, she's not really looking at that. But there's one time she walked by and saw what I was playing, and it's that prime example of, I told her one thing, I lied to her, and she didn't really... I don't want to blame my mom for it, because I love my mother to death, but she didn't know what I was playing, and I see how it can happen. I get it, because parents a lot of times are like, just do whatever you do.
Do children ever lie to their folks? Yes.
Never.
Yes, they do. But also, parents,
you need to be aware.
This is not a dig on Sandy, believe me, Sandy, I love you. But, also parents should pay attention occasionally to what their children
going forward, because of that situation, she then started paying more attention to it. So now my brother, which I think is funny because my brother's 8.5 years younger, he got to play, he played a lot of games with me, and me being older, I got to play more mature games, and I didn't even think about it when he was around. But he would get these games or play around these games, and then when he got older, like Halo and all that, he started with that because Halo, in my opinion, is not as bloody as like a Call of Duty. I know it's the exact same thing, but the fact that it's an alien that you're shooting versus it's less realistic than a person. So stuff like that, little things like that she took in mind and kept in mind when he was doing his.
So he got away with it a little bit.
He got away with.
Dependent on the game.
I got away with it too, to a certain extent.
My parents were. So here's the thing. I think that if your parents know your kids well enough, that they know what will affect you and what won't affect you. And I think that video games are definitely a part of it now because video games are so wide in our culture. But it started with movies, let's be honest. When you were younger, especially for people of my generation, I'm 33, people of my generation, when they grew up, it was always like, what was your first 18 movie if you're in England, or R-rated movie if you're in America?
Mine was Titanic.
Yeah. Mine was RoboCop. So, so you know, you have those instances where your parents take a good look at you and they go, can he or she handle this? And I think that if you prove that you can without like being just like a mess for weeks after, like I'm certain Keegan was at least one movie in his life, anything involving snakes really, that you would, you know, that would carry then onto, can he listen to music with explicit lyrics and not run around the streets?
That's a prime
swearing,
example. So like my mom was always scared when I grew up because I have an issue with depression. I mean, that's the way it is. But
you and me both,
I used to listen to this really angry music, and now that I'm older, looking back, I get it. I mean, obviously part of it's being a teenager, but she was scared because there's a Hawthorne Heights song that says, "Cut my wrists and black my eyes." When I'm singing that lyric, I wasn't thinking about literally like he's talking about killing himself. Like it just, to me, it was more of an art form, versus the literal sense of it. But there's some songs that I have taken literally when they are singing. So it's always that catch-22 with video games. Same concept, any media in general. With it,
and it is a media-wide thing, which is the important thing to remember, is that this is not exclusive to video games by any chance. But I really get quite upset when you have these incidences, these tragedies like Columbine and things like that.
They get blamed on the game.
And then, you know, they instantly, as soon as Columbine happened, they're like, okay, what do the kids listen to? What do the kids watch? What do the kids play? And then they blame Marilyn Manson.
I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't influence, because there are people it does influence.
I think it influences them in the smallest way, though. I think that those people were going to crack at some point anyway. The fact of, I mean, there are, let's be honest here. There are plenty of people that have killed people that are fans of, like, Willie Nelson. That you know, that didn't necessarily have to listen to fucking Danzig or whatever to want to go out on a murder spree. Yeah. And the same principle applies here, is that the mental instability is there regardless. It's just that if they have a convenient thing to blame, then they do that. Instead of saying, oh, it's the parents, or it's how they were treated in school, or how, you know, it's the easy access to guns, or the not easy access to mental health care, that kind of stuff. Like, it's always blamed on the easiest scapegoat to find, because if you say, oh, it's the video game's fault, then the video game can't fight back. It can't say, well, actually, no, it's not. It's not, you know, it's something else. And I think you're right, to an extent. There are obviously some games that were overdoing it. There was the Manhunt, which got banned in some countries when it came out. It was a Rockstar game. When they released Manhunt for Wii, they banned it, because it wasn't banned on the PS2 for a while. But as soon as they released it for Wii, they banned it because they realized that, for a start, the audience is very different with Wii. Yes. And secondly, the way that you play Manhunt is you essentially are executing people over and over again. And they were having you use the Wiimote to, like, garrote someone. And, you know, you can picture these little kids like...
That's what... So, again, it's similar to, like, VR, where you are that person. And, again, you can go watch that. I think it's overview number 3. I think it's the one we talk about it in. But go watch that, because it's a big concern that I have, because I want VR to be here and I want it to stay, and I want video games to stay around. I don't think the games industry is going anywhere anytime soon. I think, though...
Do you think it could be taken down by a tragedy? Like a big enough tragedy? If it was solely blamed on something like that?
I don't think the whole industry will. I think that game would, or that company would.
Think a company would?
Yeah, I think a whole company could. Like, example with Rockstar with GTA. Let's just use that, because they tend to be the one that gets blamed for everything. Let's say somebody goes out and they murder 500 people in one day just because they could. And they're like, hey, I did this in Rockstar. I murdered cops. That's a good prime example. Somebody goes and shoots 20 cops. Right. They blame GTA. I could see that potentially being an issue, because, yes, that their defense probably that's not the core of our gameplay, but that is something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see potentially something like that taking GTA down, or having them change it, or whatever it may be. I don't want that,
But it
I
could
could
happen.
I could see that happening.
But it could
Realistically,
happen.
yes. So, I'm like you. I agree. It's on the parents. It's on the people who are in charge of, especially when it's younger kids doing it. On us, it's us to be an adult and be like, okay, this is not real.
I can manage that pretty easily.
I sometimes can. When I got attacked by a shark the other day, it was terrifying and into the deep. But yeah, it's up to the parents to do it. So that's my thoughts on it.
So what are your thoughts? What recent takedowns of video games have you seen that have upset you? Are there instances where you think the video game genuinely is at fault, or do you think that it is almost always the fault of someone closer to home or the way that the child is raised? We would love to hear your thoughts on this one. It's a very, very interesting one. And yeah, so thanks a lot for watching. Let us know your thoughts. And as always, welcome to the second level. Oh, and remember, no Russian. You'll trust me, that'll work.
So the best way to get in touch with Level 2 Gamers is head over to Twitter and follow us at Level 2 Gamers. We're going to sit here till you do that. Have you gone yet? Go. Come on, bro. No, just... I'll make it easier. Put a link here. Just go. Why are you still here? Go to Twitter. I don't think they're going to Twitter.